The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, about midnight I will go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne, even to the firstborn of the female servant who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the animals. Then there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as was never like it before, nor shall be like it again. But against none of the children of Israel shall a dog move its tongue, against man or beast, that you may know that the Lord does make a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
9 plagues have already been unleashed on the land of Egypt, and yet Pharaoh remained determined that he would not let the Israelites go and worship their God in the desert. Now God was about to let loose one final plague. This plague was not like the others. This one would affect both Israelites and Egyptians alike. Special instructions were given to the Israelites to safeguard themselves from this last plague. In this episode, we explore Exodus 11 through 12 and the final plague of Egypt. So we are back with another episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Thank you all for tuning in another week. And now we are still picking up with the story of Moses and Pharaoh in Egypt.
At this point, Moses, he already running compo with
Joseph,
yeah. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Like, we didn't even really get into Moses yet, but
Right,
this is done
right.
like episode 6 in Moses. Yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, we ain't even really get into the depth of it yet. Like,
No.
we ain't even hit the desert yet.
This is only the beginning of the Moses arc.
They're
Like,
still in Egypt.
yeah, like, there's only at this point, only 10 chapters into Moses, but we got a couple books, like, with Moses all through. You know what I mean?
All right.
man.
So as a recap, we saw there's been 9 plagues so far. There's been water turning into blood. There has been frogs. There has been lice. There has been
Flies,
livestock, flies, boils, hail,
darkness.
locusts, and then the
Locusts, yeah.
darkness. Yeah.
Man. And as we mentioned last week, and they were all in direct, I guess, attacks or like indirect isolation of the Egyptian gods that they held so dearly and that they reverenced.
Yep.
You understand? So you could, if you didn't listen to last week, just check out last week because we were highlighting just a few as they come. You know, a few of the gods that, you know, the plagues were built to I don't know what the right
Go
word
against,
is. Yeah,
be
go
in
against.
opposition against, is
Yeah.
showing that God had supreme power over all of the gods of Egypt, because we know Egypt has a polytheistic nature and culture and religion. So they had a lot of gods, and God was saying, you know what, I'm better, more supreme over all of your gods. We see even when the sorcerers and wise men told Pharaoh that this is from the finger of God, we cannot replicate this. And then we see where even they couldn't replicate it, they couldn't do nothing about it, and then God just kept on sending the plagues because Pharaoh kept on disregarding that this is from God and saying, yeah, I'm not letting these people go. He even had some tried to bargain with Moses. Hey, yeah, the man can go. Leave the woman here. Nope. Okay, well, y'all ain't going nowhere. Oh, guess what? You guys can go leave your sheep and cattle here. Nope. Okay.
Always want to leave something.
So we always see with some type of bargaining with Pharaoh. So now we come to chapter 11 in Exodus 11. Now the Lord said to Moses, I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here. And when he does, he will drive you out completely. And this is even why I just highlighted that bargaining point, because now we see it was always that, okay, let my people go so they will worship me in the desert, right? For 3 days. And we see Pharaoh wasn't into that. But now, I was always, even when we were going through last week's episode, the preparation from last week's episode, I was like, but aren't y'all, isn't the plan to get out of Egypt completely? And now we see God say, guess what, with this last plague, he doesn't even going to want you guys to stay in Egypt no more. It doesn't go and come back or leave your children here or leave that. He's like, no, everyone drive out completely. I don't want nothing to do with y'all no more. And so we see in verse 2, tell the people that are men and women alike are to ask their neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord had made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people, and Moses himself was highly regarded in Egypt by the Pharaoh's official and by the people. So now we see, even hearkening back to, I think it was chapter 4 or 5, where we saw that God told Moses that the children of Israel would not leave Egypt empty-handed, that they would ask the Egyptians for silver and gold, and the Egyptians would give it to them. So we see God even hearkening back to this, saying that, yeah, the Egyptians, I mean, at this point too, they're like, yeah, y'all God is it. We really could recognize this. And we see Moses was getting held in high regard too, because they know without Moses, these plagues ain't going away. Each time a plague comes, we have to call back in Moses to help to let the plague disappear or dissipate, or however you want to say, so Moses can ask his God to get rid of the plague. So now we see in verse 4, Moses said, this is what the Lord says about midnight. So at about midnight tonight, I guess, I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die.
All right, I know I would have been straight.
From the firstborn of the Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn of the female slave, who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be a loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or will ever be again.
All I saying is I know I would have been straight. I can't speak for you.
Yeah, man.
I would not have nothing to worry about.
Hey, my family serves the Lord, so I'd have been good.
Yeah, either way.
Hey, I'd have been good. I'd have been good.
If I was Egyptian, I still would have been straight.
As we say, pressure would have been tall,
boy.
Like, I would have been there making sure we follow these rules specifically.
Well, you can't forget that, because I'm watching, right? And I miss this, and I ain't never ashamed to say when I miss something in the Bible. The fact that not only the firstborn son, bro, but like even down to your firstborn cattle was gone.
I'm saying every firstborn in the land of Egypt. And the next thing we're going to see too, we saw like how the Israelites were exempted from some of the plagues. Not even this one.
Nope.
God said this death angel, when this death angel rolled through.
Come true. He ain't care. He ain't distinguishing.
Nope. Either you serving me or you listening to my instructions, or you ain't.
Boy.
So now we see all the officials of, picking up from verse 8, all the officials of yours will come to me, bowing down before me and saying, go, you and all your people who follow you. After that, I will leave. Then Moses with hot anger left Pharaoh. You see, now Moses even mad. Like, I done with this. The Lord had said to Moses, Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardens Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the Israelites go out of the country. As we said before, this was more so Pharaoh had already made the decision in his heart that he was not going to let the Israelites go. So God just pretty much said, okay, I'm going to give you over to your own desires. This is how you really feel, and this is how you really are showing it. I'm going to let you do. I'm going to withdraw my mercy from you. So now you're frozen in your ways. There's no more repentance for you at this point.
Sorry.
So now in verse 12, chapter 12, my bad. Chapter 12, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, this month is to be for you the first month and the first month of your year. Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb for his family. One of each for his household. If any household is too small for a whole lamb, they must share one with their nearest neighbor. Having taken into account the number of people there are, you are to determine the amount of lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat. The animals you choose must be year-old males without defect, and you may take them from the sheep or the goats. Take care of them until the 14th day of the month, when the members of the community of Israel must slaughter them at twilight. Then they are to take some of the blood and put it on the sides and tops of their door frames of the houses where they eat the lambs. That same night they are to eat the meat roasted over the fire along with bitter herbs and bread without yeast. Do not eat meat raw or boiled in water, but roasted over a fire with bread, legs, and with head, legs, and internal organs. Do not leave any of it till morning. If some is left till morning, you must burn it. This is how you are to eat it: with your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Boy, oh boy. Very specific instructions. Everybody, you find out how much of the lamb you can eat. If it's too little, you go with somebody else. You understand? But you got to make sure. And do not leave this till morning. And if it's a happen, burn it.
Yeah, if y'all bite off more than y'all could chew, burn the rest.
Yeah, burn that. Boy, that's very specific instructions. I would hate to believe there were any people who didn't, follow it. But at this rate, you can't be that lackadaisical, bro. Like, you done seen darkness over there for 3 days, or you done seen all type of unexplainable stuff, bro. And God telling y'all direct, hey, y'all was safe for everything. You don't have to experience none of that, right? But this time, you ain't gonna be safe. You have to actually put in work.
Yeah.
You understand? Because your faith ain't alone. He ain't gonna help you on this one. You gotta put in the work.
You gotta
too.
exercise your faith now.
You understand?
And now we see, picking up in verse 12, on that same night I will pass through the land of Egypt, and I will strike down every firstborn, both people and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. When we see God saying this specifically now here, I bring in judgment on all these fake gods in Egypt. I am the Lord. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt. This is a day you are to commemorate. For the generations to come, you shall celebrate it as the festival of the Lord, a lasting ordinance. For 7 days you are to eat bread made without yeast, and on the first day remove the yeast from your houses. For whoever eats anything with yeast in it from the first day through the seventh must be cut off from Israel. On the first day hold a sacred assembly, and another one on the seventh. Do not work at all on these days, except to prepare food for everyone to eat. This is all you may do. Man, so now we even seen like these getting some specific instructions, but you see God saying, y'all are gonna need to do this, be ready, and letting them guys know that, hey, again, this plague is not coming just for the Egyptians. You guys might have been comfortable the last couple of plagues, but this one is also going to affect you too. Every firstborn is up for grabs.
Yeah, bro, this ain't no jokey thing. This is serious thing, and it's serious, and the instructions are very, very specific. You understand? And then God, he just like, but this ain't no guessing thing. So like, even in the chapters before, if you was guessing if God was really like attacking the false gods, you don't have to guess this time, because he said this the last one, and I really go pass judgment on these false gods. You understand? Because he ain't say I'm passing judgment on Pharaoh. You understand what I'm saying? He's saying, bro, I'm going to put judgment on these false gods. I am the Lord. You understand? Because like, bro, you gotta respect me. Like, this been going on for too long. And at the same time, I wait till it was as ripe as it could be before I do this. So it ain't no questioning, And people even to this day, they still question, Like people who want to tap into the African spiritualism, blah, 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 why God, why Christianity can't accept this X, Y, and Z. Bro, there's a right and a wrong. At the end of the day, no matter how you feel, this is a right and a wrong, And like I remember, like I'd be talking to my cousin, and one of my cousins, he always give me a hard time. He one of them people who always want to object to what I say. And it's not even like in theology, it's just like whatever I say, he just want to be on the opposite spectrum. One time I hit him with something, a fact about me. And he was like, he don't believe me. And I was like, bro, it literally doesn't matter what you believe or not. The truth is the truth. You understand what I'm saying? And that goes for everything. Truth is not subjective. Truth is definite. You understand what I'm saying? So you can believe this thing is the right thing, but that don't change the fact. And you don't want to be the person who believes in the lie. You understand what I'm saying? So like, even as stewards, as scholars, as anything, you want to make sure you do all your research and everything. Fact check. You understand? Question everything. You know what I'm saying? You need to be firm in your beliefs. And I'll tell you now, you need to be firm in your belief in God, because there is going to be a time when even the very elect, if possible, may be deceived. You know? And so now we see where God's saying, all right, we've seen people being deceived and people following this culture for so long. And now, right now, I have to make an example, and I have to make it painfully clear who I am. And guess what? This isn't something where you have to sit and think, oh, why doesn't this happen in today's, like, there are a lot of pagans and a lot of people do this and that. That's literally what the Bible is for. The Bible is here as a reference for you to understand how God feels about these things, what God is willing to do, and just the way how God reacts to certain things. You could look at this, and this should be all the evidence you need. You don't even have to look throughout the world and say, oh, there are pagans there, so why God ain't destroying them? Does he accept it? Blah, 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 blah. We know how God feels, because he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. You know, so if the God of old, when he was pulling his firstborn son out of the land of bondage, if he went through these lengths to make sure y'all understand the difference between the Most High God and these false gods, that does not change, even to this day. You know, so this right here is just just an example. Like he said in the tone once again.
And even like going back to your same last line, but just an example, I just want to go back up and just talk about some of the symbologies that we see here in this Passover festival. They were to take a lamb, a perfect lamb. So this lamb couldn't have any blemish, couldn't have any weakness. They had to take a perfect lamb. This represents the perfect lamb that is going to be sacrificed in the end of when Jesus came back. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you see that by this lamb's blood is where they're going to be saved. They have to put this blood on their doorsteps, on the sides, and on top of their doorposts. Just a symbology that, like, with the blood of the lamb, you will be spared when this angel flies over Egypt. And this is the Passover, when the angel passed over Egypt and passed over the Israelites who obeyed the commandments. Man, so now we see in verse 14, this is the day you are to commemorate. For the generations to come, you shall celebrate the festival of the Lord. A lasting accordance. I already finished that? Yeah. So verse 17, in my apologies, celebrate the festival of the unleavened bread, because it was on this very day that I brought your divisions out of Egypt. Celebrate this day as a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. In the first month, you are to eat the bread without yeast from even until the 14th day, until even of the 21st day. For 7 days, no yeast is to be found in your houses. And if anyone, whether a foreigner or native born, who eats anything with yeast in it, might be cut off from the community of Israel. Eat nothing made with yeast. Wherever you live, you must eat unleavened bread. Then Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, go at once and select the animals for your families and slaughter the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop, and this type of tree, and dip it into the blood in the basin, and put some of the blood on top of your top and sides of your door frame. None of you shall go out of the door of your house until morning, when the Lord goes through the land to strike down the Egyptians. He will see the blood on top and the sides of your door frame, and will pass over the doorway, and he will not permit the destroyer to enter your houses and strike you down. Obey these instructions as a lasting ordinance for you and your descendants. When you enter the land that the Lord will give you as he promised, observe the ceremony. And when your children ask you, what does this ceremony mean to you? Then tell them, it is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt and spared our homes when he struck down the Egyptians. Then the people bowed down and worshiped. The Israelites did just what the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron. Man, so, yep. I just imagine that, like, I wonder how the Israelites felt in this moment. Were you happy, scared, relieved, nervous?
Well, I think it's a lot of anxiety, right? But at the same time, I saw a lot of people was excited, bro. Like this a big thing, right? But at the same time, after this, or they might not even know that, But it might be feeling like after this, we done. We ain't gotta go through the stress no more. So this like a new beginning. So like, I feel like it's a happy feeling. But my thing is, I right now, I don't know. Like, I wonder if any Egyptians, like if had friends that were Hebrew. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you would think so, right? So like from here, I just wondering like some of the Egyptians who like, bro, I mean, I cool with the Hebrews. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want, like, I wonder how they feel. Like what I'm saying is, could there have been a way that Egyptians were privy to knowing what is about to happen and being able to safeguard themselves as well?
I think so. I mean, we still serve a fair God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think they were exempt from doing this. And granted, even if you feel that way, you just go stay in the house of the Hebrews at your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So the God say, like, if you put the blood on your doorstep,
Straight.
the angel will pass you over as long as you're inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it and say you outside the
see,
house.
I want to see the angel of death.
You will see him.
Yeah.
That'll be the last thing you see.
him. You would see him for sure.
So I mean, I yeah, if they obeyed God, you're good. Now we see at midnight the Lord struck down all the Egyptian firstborn, from the firstborn to the Pharaoh who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner who still was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of the livestock as well. I like how Exodus kind of just repetitive.
Mm-hmm. And notice the Pharaoh didn't die, right? Which would imply that he was not the firstborn. You understand? So, so the person who was wanted, who wanted to kill Moses, was probably his older brother. Maybe. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe. Just a little speculation.
Pharaoh and all his, that's a good point. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was a loud wailing in Egypt, just as God said there would be. For there was not a house with someone dead.
Without someone dead.
Without someone
But
dead.
that is crazy, bro.
I mean, because like, I just imagine Nassau, right? And just imagine every house in Nassau.
Right, because I sure there were more Egyptians than Nasuvians right now, or just even Bahamians, period. Like, they probably had way more people than us. Probably.
That's just crazy, man. Like a whole city, a whole nation. Like there's a whole country, every household, except this one little town of Goshen. Or it might have been a little city, who knows, but this one town in Goshen had
Someone dead.
exactly. And that's just, man, the power of God.
But imagine your mommy and daddy, or two of them is the firstborns, right? But that's crazy, bro.
It might have been some households, but the whole household was
Yeah,
there.
because if you only have one child, if you and your spouse is the firstborn, you only have one child, that's a wrap.
Mercy.
Yeah, bro. And bro, it's just, it don't pay to go against God, bro. It pays to serve God. You understand what I'm saying? Like, see now, this a crazy moment, bro. Because like, even if I don't think I would be all right if I lived through this. if I was a Hebrew or Egyptian, you understand what I'm saying? I think that would be of like a traumatic experience for me. Like, you wake up the next day and a bunch of these people just dead, bro. Just a bunch of dead people. And ain't nobody happy. No Egyptian is happy. So, because I was thinking, how easy would it, of course, you know, God worked on the Egyptians' heart, but how easy is it for them to go to them and say, I need gold X, Y, Z? But bro, at this point, these people, but they'll probably give them anything they ask for. You know what I mean? That's what I thinking. It's like when Simeon and Levi had them men circumcised.
Oh boy.
I don't know, like they couldn't put up much of a fight because they was just, their barriers had been broken down. And I feel like Egypt would have had to been at a point where like there's too much traumatic experiences one after the other for me. Like, ain't nobody would have been able to withstand that type of thing. That's too much PTSD they would have had. Like, all right, I like my physical, I don't care. Like my physical, I could endure losing livestock. I can endure having boils and stuff like that. That's, you know, especially because it was temporary. But like the loved one gone, I'm sure nobody could have. I'm sure nobody could have withstand that. You know what I'm saying? And come out on that feeling optimistic. Like that was the because you know at the same time God say this can be the last one, and then He can let you out for sure. Even as stiff neck as Pharaoh was, God knew definitely that this was can do it for Pharaoh for sure. You understand? Like I know a lot of people who have done great things in the world of entertainment, and a lot of times when they speak about their greatest achievements, it's usually their children. My greatest achievement is my son. I might have 20 Grammys. I might have 100 Oscars. My greatest achievement are my children. And Pharaoh lost what people consider their greatest achievement. It's like his firstborn.
And his successor.
His successor, bro, and that's the big blow. Because in a kingdom, bro, in a kingdom, that firstborn so important.
Very.
Wow, that's crazy, bro.
Very important.
That's crazy. That's getting through to Pharaoh.
Yeah. Like.
Because God know your heart, bro.
God really hitting you where it hurt.
But God know your heart.
You know what you treasure more than anything.
Exactly. That's crazy.
Man. And so now we see in verse 31.
But this would have to be the worst Pharaoh in Egyptian history.
What?
But you see, this a horrible leader, bro. Like, you got to know when to hold him and know when to fool him.
Really going through a lot?
Come on, bro. Unnecessarily.
In whatever time span this happened.
Bro.
We see during the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Up and leave my people, you and your Israelites. Go worship the Lord of you have requested. Take your flocks, your herds, as you have said, and also bless me." The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the country, for otherwise they said, "We will all die." They tired of this. You see, they saying, you know what?
Get out. ASAP.
All y'all just leave.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. Or everyone who's still alive, they're like, bro, this if it's a next plague, yeah, we could be next. Like,
we next. Like, which one are you going through? Second child? Dang.
Right.
That's the rest of us.
Right. You understand? Like, because if he put a farm in there, we could die. If we do this, bro, like.
Whatever else, bro. Like, we can't take no more.
We can't.
We literally can't. We ain't got no food. The animals get infected by boils. We had a hailstorm, then whatever, the hail leave, the locusts come and eat. My goodness. Then we had this unfathomable darkness. Nah, wait, I come with the darkness now. My son dead.
Yeah, no. And this what I really don't like with this Pharaoh. The man say, bless me. What? Bro, come on, bro. You're the most horrible negotiator I've ever heard in my life. You understand what I said?
So left him to say, enlarge my territory next.
Bro, for real, like what are you saying, bro? Like, cause like literally, you could have negotiated this from the beginning. I'll let them go if the Lord bless me. Mm-hmm. This is a trade. You understand what I said? But bro, like they forcing your hand now, but you still speaking as if you have bargaining chips. First of all, you never had bargaining chips. That's what you never realized, but you was operating as if you did. But this guy is acting like, I don't know this God, but then he's still turning around and saying, bless me.
Like, who you asking to bless
you?
you?
Like for real, bro. Why your God can't bless you?
You already see that, my gods can do nothing before that your God.
All right, but if you see that, why you ain't let them go? You understand? So this why it's hard to really root for this Pharaoh. You know, because I felt sympathy for him, but it's hard, bro.
That's why and to me, it's even go back to when he first asked, who is God?
I don't know him.
Now at this point, he's seeing who God is.
Exactly.
You asked me who I am. Now, do you like the answer?
Exactly.
Is this sufficient enough for you?
Boy, you could have been all right if you never push God to show him who he is. But now you got your cake. Now you got to eat it. You understand?
You don't like the flavor of this cake no more. Boy,
it's actually humble pie, actually.
A little bit of humble pie. Oh my. So now we see, so the people took their dough before the yeast was added and carried it on their shoulders and kneading troughs wrapped in clothing. The Israelites did as Moses instructed and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. The Lord had made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people, and they gave them what they asked for. So they plundered the Egyptians.
Boy.
But every time I hear plundered, I just imagine pirates.
Yeah. No, I just imagine like kings when they invade. You understand? Like that's what I think, bro. But it's always involved treasure, though. No matter what. Yeah.
The Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children.
So, like, even when we was thinking before, for sure that there was more Egyptians than we had behemoths. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But 600,000 men on foot.
Sheesh.
So, it's safe just to multiply that by 2 or 3.
Yeah.
By 3, really.
Yeah. That's very safe, bro. That's extremely safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. They was deep.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, they was deep.
I just want to keep that figure in our head because I know what's going to come up.
That's a lot
Maybe
of-
important in the next episode. That number's going to be very crucial.
That's
When we
a
just we just really see how God work.
But that's a lot of people you trying to keep enslaved, bro. You understand? Like,
But man, many other people went up from there, and also large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds, with dough and Israelites had brought from Egypt. And the baked loaves of unleavened bread. The dough was without yeast because they had been driven out of Egypt and did not have time to prepare food for themselves. Now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, to the very day, all the Lord's divisions left Egypt.
wow.
It's like 430 years exactly.
Exactly. Wow.
Wow, that's interesting. So 430 years. That's a good length of time. At the end of the 430 years, to the very day, the Lord's division left Egypt. Because the Lord kept vigil that night to bring them out of Egypt. On this night, all the Israelites are to keep vigil and honor the Lord for generations to come. Dang, that's interesting. It's very interesting.
So that was the Exodus, as people would say. And just based on that story alone is why someone, I don't know who, decided to change the name from the Book of Names to Exodus. You understand what I said? Just off that story that we just had.
Exodus. So picking up in verse 43, the Lord said to Aaron and Moses, "These are the regulations for the Passover meal. Any foreigner may eat it. Any slave...
No foreigner may eat.
Yeah, no foreigner may eat it. Any slave you have brought may eat it after you have circumcised him, but a temporary resident or hired worker may not eat it. It must be eaten inside the house. Take none of the meat outside the house. Do not break any of the bones." That was the next thing. I think we're supposed to get to that too. Because just like how none of Jesus' bones were broken, none of the lamb bones were broken either in the Passover meal. So it was a perfect lamb without blemish, and none of the bones were to be broken, just as how Jesus was the perfect sacrifice, the perfect human God in human form, whose blood saved our sins, and none of his bones were broken, even though he was crucified on the cross and had a sword impaled in his side. The whole community, verse 47, the whole community of Israel must celebrate it. A foreigner residing among you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover must have all the males in his household circumcised. This is going back to, could foreigners partake in this? And we're seeing God saying, if they want to do this and they want to be a part of this, here's what they must do.
Yeah, they have to be covered in.
They got to become a peculiar people.
Yeah, they have to be covered by this covenant that Abraham had with God.
And now we see why it's so important. Even a couple episodes ago, when God rolled up on Moses and said, "Why ain't your children
Like he about to
sacrificed?"
kill him.
About to
Like-
kill him.
Like, what you doing, bro?
All the males in the household must be circumcised. Then he may take part like one born in the land. No uncircumcised male may eat it. The same law applies both to the non-native born and to the foreigner residing among you. To the native born and the foreigner residing among you. So the same thing. If you have Israelites among yourselves who ain't circumcised, they need to be circumcised too before they can participate in this. All the Israelites did just what the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that very day, the Lord brought the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions. So now picking up in chapter 13, the Lord said to Moses, "Consecrate to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belongs to me, whether human or animal." Then Moses said to the people, "Commemorate this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, because the Lord brought you out of it with a mighty hand. Eat nothing containing yeast. Today is the month of Aviv." I think I got that right. You are leaving. When the Lord brings you out of the land of the when the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, the land he swore to you, to your ancestors, and give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you are to observe this ceremony in this month. For 7 days, eat bread made without yeast. And on the seventh day, hold a festival to the Lord. Eat unleavened bread during those 7 days. Nothing with yeast in it is to be seen among you, nor shall any yeast be anywhere within your borders. On that day, tell your son, I do this because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. This observance will be for you like a sign on your hand and a reminder on your forehead. Hand and forehead. Interesting. That this law
Very interesting,
of
bro.
the
That's
Lord
crazy.
shall be on your lips. That's interesting. He said, but the Bible is a complete book.
Yeah.
The Bible is a
Bro,
very
we gotta,
complete
bro,
book.
we gotta come back to that at a later date. At a later date, because he's saying like, do this for 7 days and sign in your hand and your forehead. What does hand and forehead mean? You understand what I'm saying? And I ain't even get into that now. If people know what we talking about, they know what we talking about. If they don't, you will understand soon. You know what I mean?
It's coming back.
It can come back. Trust me.
I will assure you that.
Trust me. But so here we can see where God is establishing a new practice, and it's solely to commemorate them being taken out of the hand of bondage. It is to commemorate what God has done for his people. You understand what I'm saying? Eating yeast, is nothing wrong with eating yeast. But to remember what God has done for us, right now, during this specific time frame, you are not to eat yeast. You are not to have yeast. And this is important because we could see where there are a lot of traditions that happen within like the Mosaic time frame. You understand? And so like, and a lot of those are like specific to this thing. You understand what I'm saying? So like that's just one thing to point out. But that hand and forehead, that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, just to say it now, just for people who want that extra context, what we're talking about, because you just might not know. But in the end times, there will be a satanic imitation of this practice where the number of the Antichrist will be like 666 and 666 will be applied to people in their hand and their forehand, whoever will take it. That's in Revelation 13:16. He causes both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave to receive a mark on their right hand and on their forehead. So just for context, we'll definitely delve into that in future episodes where we really could get in our bag about that.
But that's why it's good to read the Bible, bro. Because everybody knows of the term 666. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody knows of that. Majority of people don't know what it means or when to expect it or how is it going to physically be on your hand and in your forehead. Now, that's something we have to unpack when we get to Daniel. You understand? Or maybe when we get to Revelation. So it might not be this year. You understand? But I encourage everybody to research and just let's just talk, because it might be something that you bring up to us that might help us in our studies and when we have to present to this. But to stick to the topic at hand, if you just gloss over this story, or if you did not know about what's in the book of Revelation, this might not be relevant to you. This might not stick out to you. But it's like, it's hidden nuggets like this that once you read the Bible, you make it to Exodus. By the time you make it to Revelation, you're just like, wait, I saw something else that was in hand. You understand? And what was that in reference to? And what does that mean? Is that a physical thing? Is this a literal thing? You understand what I'm saying? And so like, that's why I feel like it's important for everyone to read the Bible for yourself. Like listening to our podcast is like a supplementary thing. You know, this, like, even so, I would want for everybody to even listen to us with their Bibles open. You reading along with us. You understand? You fact checking us. Or you reading on your own and you using this to hear what other people have to say about it. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we all have to come to God for ourselves. You understand? You got to go to God for yourself. You got to answer to God for yourself. And I have nothing to do with your salvation. You understand what I'm saying? I want to help, you know, but at the end of the day, I'm accountable for my stuff. And then you would also be accountable for your stuff. So it's important for everybody to read and to understand on their own.
And then, so now I should be in 13, verse 10. You keep this ordinance at the appointed time year after year. In verse 11, after the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites and gives it to you, as he promised on an oath to you and your ancestors, you are to give over the Lord the first offspring of every womb, all the firstborn males of your livestock belong to the Lord, redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey. But if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem every firstborn among your sons. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
I got to break down what that means later. In the days to come, when your son asks you, what does this mean? Oh, look at that. Say to him, with a mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go. And the Lord killed the firstborn of both people and animals in Egypt. This is why I sacrifice to the Lord the first male offspring of every womb, and redeem each of my firstborn sons. And it will be like a sign on your hand and a symbol on your forehead that the Lord brought us out of Egypt with his mighty hand.
Wow. Wow.
The Bible is a complete book, ladies and gentlemen.
Bro.
It's a complete book.
For real.
Everything comes back around full circle. Okay.
So back to the story at hand.
Yeah. So now we see in verse 17, when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them onto a road through the Philistine country, even though that way was shorter. But God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt.
Wow.
So God led the people around the desert towards the road to the Red Sea. The Israelites went out of Egypt ready for battle.
So watch this, right? Do you think that God led them or took them the long way because they wouldn't be able to beat the Philistines?
No, it's just, and so I'm gonna just paint this picture from my perspective, and I guess my perspective is influenced, but at the same time, think about it. We already know that the Israelites were in this land for 430 years, because we just went over that, 430 years. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a relationship with their God.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? They pretty much, one can argue a lot of them forgot who God was. That's how come God had to show them this power and glory.
Mm-hmm. And one could also argue that's how they got in this predicament to be enslaved in the first place, because they forgot how God was, who their God was. You understand?
So now you're in Egypt. You don't have faith in this God. You see what he did, but you don't have a relationship with this God yet. So God's saying, why am I going to bring them through the Philistine country, where they're going to see probably even worse things than they saw in Egypt?
They might see giants.
They will see giants.
All right. They will have to fight those giants.
They will see giants. And God say, like, if they face war, they might change their minds and they return to Egypt, because they don't have that faith in me yet to believe in me that I can deliver them from all these things, because God knows his people. Wow. And this is the next thing what gets me too. Like, we see the Bible tells us the reason why God carried them the way they did. Because you see people online and different things. So it took them X amount of years to get to Canaan, but from Egypt to theirs is a direct route. But we were saying, God said, bro, I'm not taking them that route.
Nope.
Because realistically, the shorter way, if you look at a map, where Israel is and where Egypt is, the shortest way is to go straight up. Go straight up. God say, I'm taking them to the east.
Nope. Yeah,
we're going to cross this Red Sea.
We got to go through the water.
We got to cross this Red Sea.
Bro, which one? Bro, think about this, bro. They would have had to have this. To me, this implies that they had more faith that God would separate the water for them to walk through than they had that God would allow them to win a battle in war against the Philistines. But think about this. This is the same God who we just see. He killed, but y'all ain't have to do nothing but paint your doors
with blood
and eat a lamb.
Eat a lamb with some bitter herbs.
You understand?
Bitter.
And a bunch of people just die.
At least they eat meat.
Yeah, true. Right, but this whatever. But people die. Like, y'all ain't have to kill no Egyptians, and then the facts remain that God had people die. You understand? So, but God is saying, and this is God in his infinite wisdom, he already knows that if he put them to this, he already know that this is going to show that God don't set people up to fail. Mm-hmm. God already know, and he say, if it come to war, they can get scared.
And they can go back to Egypt.
Right, nigga won't go back to Egypt. So I ain't even put y'all through that.
And the funny thing is, because we're going to see, it didn't take much for them to want to go back to Egypt.
Oh, for sure. Already. Like, see, because up until this point, we don't know the culture of these people. You understand what I'm saying? We see them complain to Pharaoh, but it seemed right. You know, like, yeah, Pharaoh was turning it up a notch. So that's something to complain about. But later on, we can see that this complaining thing, it comes unprovoked, actually. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, like, I too believe that. Bro, you don't even have to believe. We see where God give your enemies over to your hands. You understand? Multiple times.
Man, they just see they're just witness 10 plagues.
Right. And that's the same thing. God giving your enemy over to your hand, and you get to plunder them. You understand what I'm saying? But this one, Rachel, they wouldn't have enough faith for that. It's like when Jesus was in his hometown, he couldn't really do too much miracles because there wasn't enough faith around for that. You understand what I said?
And so now we see in verse 19, Moses took the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph made the Israelites swear an oath. And he said, God will surely come to your aid and then you must carry my bones up out of this place. And we see that was Joseph's parting words when we ended Genesis. After leaving Succoth in verse 20, they camped in Etham on the edge of the desert. By day, the Lord went ahead of them as a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night, a pillar of fire to give them light so that they could travel by day or night. And I just want to put a pin here and really just show the awesomeness of God, because we take this for granted, but God manifested his presence in the front of them as a pillar of cloud all day and a literal pillar of fire by night.
Yep. See, the cloud thing, you could rationalize. Oh, yeah, it's just a cloud. But that fire in the night?
No.
Because he could have just do the moon, you know. Like, he could have do a star, like a bright star, but it's a pillar of fire. Like, this seemed to be mistaken. But, you know, God actually invented the GPS, is what I'm taking from this.
Mercy.
You understand what I'm saying? Like no GPS needed, because you could just look up and nature is giving them their guidance, you know. And that's crazy, because like it's similar to Moses. Like Moses had like probably an internal understanding of where to go, because God just was like, go, and he was like, all right, let's go. And then, you know, he with inspiration, like he ended up where God wanted him to go.
I mean, because like you see, like, I mean, if we go to the next verse, neither the pillar of cloud nor the pillar of fire left its place in front of the people. Moses didn't have to think.
Nope.
Where the pillar of fire going, where the cloud going? That's where we going? You know, like, I mean, you can say he was divinely inspired. Yes, I'm not arguing that fact, but I'm like, God saying, you don't even have to think about this. Where the fire going, you going that way. I'm in the front of you guys. I am charging the way in front of you guys. You just got to follow me. And I'm not leaving. You see, the pillar of fire and pillar of cloud did not leave. You would think, okay, the clouds are going to disappear at night. Guess what? It just transformed into fire. Like just imagine that visual sight. The clouds is a pillar of clouds coming down from the heavens. And then it's just like, oh, okay, fire.
And the fire moving, bro. Like they're racking us somewhere to go. Like,
man,
that's crazy, bro. And see, I sure they probably got used to that really quick. Like that became like, oh yeah, that's just how it is. You understand? But like, if someone from out of town was to see that, they'd be like, bro, what's that? You know what I mean? Type of thing, because that's a wonderful thing. And like, even the first day they saw it, they probably was amazed. But sooner or later, it's just like whatever. Like, and that's the thing. We've seen God's people. We've seen God's people multiple times in the presence of God. We see God do miracles in front of them, but then they still don't know God. And like, to me, I ain't saying this to like cast judgment against them, but I just trying to say how easy it is to just not know God. That's why when pastors and stuff, when salacious stuff come about them, or where some type of scandal, like it don't be that unbelievable to me, because we've seen where you have somebody who was with Jesus the whole time and he sell him for money, you understand, and end up killing himself. He didn't even get to spend the money, you understand? Like, we see people who was just like around Jesus. Like, we see people who was around God and they still lack faith and they still was ungrateful. Like, you understand? And like, I recognize that at this point to be human nature. Like, I feel like this is the nature of the church. Like, it just normal, you understand? Because at the end of the day, some people just want that convenience at all times. They want to be convenient. They want to be pampered at all times. Like, but I ain't trying to work. Like, studying the Bible, going on this journey, just like working out. Like, every day you have to put in that work, bro. It ain't easy. No. Like, you might find enjoyment out of it, but you still putting in work. You still stretching yourself, like, to get better.
We even see, like, Paul says, daily we have to die to ourselves. Like, daily we have to cultivate this relationship with God. Daily we're supposed to be yearning after our Heavenly Father. Daily. It's not just I did it once for the week and I'm good. I did it once for the month and I'm good. I did it like a couple months of the year and I'm good. It's supposed to be a daily renewing of the Spirit. A daily renewing of the Spirit. Because like we said in previous episodes, I'm going to say again, our righteousness is but filthy rags to God. So, and every inclination of our hearts are evil. Faith without works is dead. So God is saying, you know all of this. Every day you need to come back, and because you need the Holy Spirit inside of you to keep you going, to keep you fresh, to keep you spreading my word. Oh my. So now we see in verse 4, in chapter 14, then the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-hathai-roth, between Midgal and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea directly opposite Baal-zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. Remember, Pharaoh asked, who is this Lord? God said, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you.
Boy.
So Moses and the Israelites did this. So when the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about what they said. What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services. So we had his chariot made ready and took his army with them. He took 600 of the best chariots along with the other chariots of Egypt with the officers all over them. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, the king of Egypt. So he pursued the Israelites, who went marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses, chariots, horsemen, and troops pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi Hahiroth, opposite Baal Zephon. So just imagine you're an Israelite now, right? Your oppressor's coming back to get you. And I know he look like because guess what? He just lost his son. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely.
He just lost his son. Yeah, he told us to go, but now you know when you have that remorse. I wouldn't even say remorse at this point. It's just vengeful feeling, like vengeance now. Like I come back to get even with y'all.
And then think about it, bro. You might look around, you lost your son, right? But then literally your city is destroyed. Who could rebuild the city? Oh, I just let go the slaves. What? No,
You see
bro.
what you say? We lost their services.
Yeah, we need that
We
back.
lost their free labor.
Yeah, we need that back.
So Moses said to the people, as Pharaoh approached the Israelites, we're picking up from verse 10. As Pharaoh approached the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried to the Lord. They said to Moses, was it because there was no graves in Egypt that you brought us out in the desert to die?
What the heck?
And I just want to put this pin right here. This is going to be a common thing that we see the children of Israel. No matter how much times they see the wonders and works of God, there's always that inkling of doubt in their hearts.
Every single time.
That ungratefulness. Because now you think about it, like we just said, you also just saw the 10 plagues in Egypt. You also now you're seeing the pillar of fire and the pillar of clouds by day and night. But now you see Pharaoh, you just forgot what God did to Pharaoh automatically, and you're saying, bruh, there was not enough grace in Egypt that you brought us from Egypt into the desert to die.
Wait, I really just can't understand how Moses could have tell Pharaoh, bro, your firstborn son could die, and he allowed that to happen, bro. That's what's still tripping me out, bro. Like, I know you would have had anxiety and you would have spent time with your son, like, because everything Moses tell you was gonna happen has happened. You understand what I'm saying? But Pharaoh different, bro. I ain't like.
But think about this. You think Pharaoh was circumcising himself on his son?
No.
You think Pharaoh was going to put any blood over his doorstep, eat any unleavened bread?
No, but it was something easier than that he could have do, you know.
Just let the people go.
Just let the people go, bro. It's something way easier than that he could have do. For real.
Just let the people go, making it too complicated.
Yeah.
So Moses answered the people, do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring to you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. Mercy. That just reminds me the verse says, be still and know that I am God. You see Moses saying, guess what? You guys being scared. You guys thinking that you have to do something. But no. This battle is not yours. This battle is the Lord's.
And this go to show that they definitely would have get scared if they see the Philistines.
Bing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because think about it. The Bible just said, at minimum is over 1,800,000 of y'all.
That's what I was going to say.
We could take out the children, we could take out the women, just say
600,000
600,000
men.
600,000 men. Pharaoh only sending
600 chariots.
So y'all outnumber them 100,000 to 1 and you guys are terrified.
Bro, what?
Just math.
I just was thinking how, bro, because like, seriously, bro. Like, I understand modern slavery because they had guns. But how you can enslave a whole people with swords, bro?
Swords, bows, and arrows, but you know what I'm saying? But like,
bro, that's crazy to me.
bruh.
That's crazy to me. But
then like literally you have all the access to whatever they have to.
yeah, and then see, but the only thing, and you probably make some of these swords and thing, bro. That's the crazy thing. But the thing about it is, because they ain't built for war, you can understand why they don't have the heart of champions. Like if this was the old, right? Yeah. Yeah, but it still can take a while.
Yeah.
But if this was the old Moses would have been ready for a showdown, bro.
Ready. Hey
For a
guys, they come
showdown.
in. You guys ready?
Hey, but think about how patient Moses was with Pharaoh. The old Moses wouldn't have been that patient with Pharaoh.
No. And we point out Moses was the humblest man on the face of the earth at that time. That's still incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry land. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them, and I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all of his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in the front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and the armies of Israel. The armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other. So neither went near the other all night long. Now, I just, you know me, I always like to paint the picture. So now we had this pillar of fire and this pillar of clouds that was leading the Israelites in the day and night. God said, "Okay, Moses, I don't even know why you're crying out to me. Here's what to do. Just go to the Red Sea, do your staff, and stretch your hand, and I will depart the sea or whatever." And now the answer is, "Okay, yeah, we could do this, but they still gaining ground on us, Lord. So what about our backs?" God didn't even say this. God said, "You know what I'm gonna do? Withdrew my presence from the front, go behind y'all now, and now, just picture this: on one side of this, complete darkness. So now we see Pharaoh and his armies can no longer advance because they can't even see no more. This is almost like the plague darkness. You know what I'm saying? Because I would just be like, keep going forward. Who cares if I can't see? I know if I get through this, I gonna hit them.
Right.
Just keep going forward. But you see, it was so dark, and they was like, we can't even move. It would behoove us just to stay there. We know they over there, we just gonna wait.
Yeah.
So one side of this is complete darkness, on the other side is light. You guys can still do whatever you have to do. I'm gonna keep Pharaoh at bay so you guys can still get away. I didn't even try to rhyme, Dale.
But you did it.
So yeah, I mean, that just shows the awesome power and the wisdom of God. So now we see Moses stretch out his hand over the sea. And all that night, the Lord drove the sea back with the strongest east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided. The Israelites went through on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and a wall of water on their left. Okay, so now.
But it was dry ground, but that's so crazy.
So now, let's think about this, right? The Red Sea, on average, I actually pull up the stats on it, right? So on average, the Red Sea is 1,600 feet deep.
Sheesh.
That's on average. The deepest point of the Red Sea is actually over 7,000 feet deep. But just to say on average, it's a pretty deep body of water. It's a pretty deep body of water. People forget how deep the ocean actually could be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So now let's just see. So now for you to walk through on dry land, right? For you to walk through on dry land, on average, you had a column of water to your left and your right, over 1,600 feet tall.
That is crazy, bro.
That's why I wanted to paint that picture, because God pushed aside the water so they could walk through on dry land. So you got to go down into the river, the seabed, and walk across on dry land. So God literally pushed, you have a column of water this high on either side of you. And for them to make it through at night, with the amount of people, I ain't even gonna say the statistics on how much people have to walk side by side across and how wide this water had to be. But think about it. You had over 1 million people who needed to cross. And let me see how wide the Red Sea is. I actually have this here too. The Red Sea, about, what is that? Max depth.
Bro, that's regardless.
Its widest point is 220 miles. On widest point, 220 miles, but I think close to that part in Egypt might have been like, let's just say like it was like 175 miles.
Bro.
So now you have to walk this at night. That's what I'm saying. So now to get all of these people across, God God moved so much water aside in this Red Sea that night. It's unfathomable.
Bro, and the movies always make it seem like this happened in a day, bro.
They always make it seem like happening. They always make it seem like the people going through 2 by 2.
Yeah, true.
No.
Like 2 by 2, like in a file line, like in a double file line.
Like mathematically, they were going through like in a rows of like 100,000s, bro.
Yeah.
Like God, essentially what I'm going to say, God drained the Red Sea that night for them to make it across. Go.
They was able to comfortably go across, bro.
They was able to comfortably go across. Like, man,
imagine if they
man.
had cell phones and thing back then. You could take a picture of that, bro. That's crazy.
Just imagine seeing that, bro. You just seeing this column of water so high. You might even see a little fish.
That's what I gotta say. You might even see the fish and things swimming.
I saw a meme, right? And this is a tangent. I know, I admit this is a tangent. But man, it was like this little fish who had to go to work.
Oh, he gets stuck in
A little
traffic.
fish had to go to work, right? And he was telling his boss, and so by the time he got to work, his boss said, "You're late. Like you missed work today." He said, "You would never believe what happened." You would never believe what happened.
If I tell you. You would believe if I tell you. Yeah, but
man,
we get stuck in traffic that day.
Boy.
For real.
Yo, like, it just shows the awesome power of God. Because, I mean, just like how God told Moses, or asked Moses, who gave you your mouth? Simple, same thing. Who made the water? I almost like what God was telling Job, who made the waters? Who made the earth? Who made the universe? That we are going through this, you know what I'm saying? So now God's saying, I have supreme command over the earth. I can command it what to do.
If you didn't get it by now. If you didn't get it by now.
If you didn't know who I am by now.
By now.
If you didn't know who I am.
Because he keeps saying, I am.
I am. I tell you,
Right.
like, and I say the Bible is a complete book. In this book of Exodus, how we just talking about the book of names and the relevance of names. You're seeing God saying, guess what? In the book of names, you are going to learn who I am.
And it's painfully obvious.
So now we see the Egyptians pursued this. So now they walk through on dry ground. Now picking up in verse 23, the Egyptians pursued them. And all of Pharaoh's horsemen and chariots followed them into the sea during the last watch of the night when the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and the cloud at the Egyptian army, and he threw it into confusion. He jammed their wheels. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. So now we see even the Egyptians saying, hold on.
Yeah, bro.
We have this thing twisted. The Lord is fighting for them against us. Let's get away. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen.
Right when they're about to retreat.
Moses stretched out his hand over the sea at daybreak. So we see all night from sunset to sunrise, the Israelites had to cross the Red Sea. And now we see God saying, guess what, it's sun up? It's sun up now, let's go. Stretch your hand back over. And the sea went back into its place. Now, just like I painted that picture before, so now imagine at minimum 1,600 feet of water on either side just come crashing back together like it was nothing.
Ah, that must have hurt, bro.
Bro, just the sheer pressure of that water alone would probably instantly kill you.
That must have hurt. That had to hurt.
Like, I want people to know when water is moving fast, water is like concrete just hitting you.
Facts.
It ain't no like, oh, this is just water.
You shot out all your bones, bro.
That will instantly pulverize someone. Oh, where was I? Okay, then stretch over your hands over the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and the horsemen and the entire army of Pharaoh and his that had followed the Israelites into the sea. None of them survived. None of them survived. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground.
Why would you? Every time I think about this story, I always wonder, why would you follow them through that? Why would you do that? At what point in time when God has done stuff for you, for the Israelites?
Has it benefited you?
Exactly. Like ever. Like the whole time.
But it just shows how the devil really can have people so perverse.
Yeah, just like remind me of Balaam too.
It's just how the devil really had them in darkness, really had them in spiritual confusion, because like you say, you already see all these wonders, you already see all these works that God said he was going to show, and everything came to pass. You probably lost your brother, your uncle, your father. You lost multiple people in your family who just died. And now you think in your mind, they already made it through this water, and something about he's thinking that, oh, in my mind, how long is this water going to stay up? How long is this water going to stay
Think
up?
about that. Like, these people are already over.
This ain't natural.
Yeah.
This ain't natural. You think and that's saying the devil really have people really ensnared in his trap, because everything about this in a logical aspect would say, bruh, the Israelites got away. Let's just leave it alone. But you want to go into God's miracle, saying you're going to use it for bad.
So, and it's like over 100 miles long, right?
Yeah,
Like the cross, bro. You think you could walk 100 miles?
Even on your chariot, you ain't making that.
You're not making that.
I don't think you're making that, because like 100 miles,
That ain't no jokey wide, bro.
that's not. I was going to break it down for people, but that's just not a jokey vibe.
Like, just imagine being on the highway. How long it take you to drive 100 miles? It's almost 2
And that's
hours.
going highway speeds.
Highway speed. And this is a horse. Understand what I'm saying? It can take you almost 2 hours. Like,
It'll take you an hour going 100 miles per hour.
right. Right. Fuck.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
That's just 100. That ain't the 220. That ain't like the 100 and probably 75 where they was probably going to cross, but still, like, it's a horse ain't going that fast. A horse might make it up to 30 miles per hour, so
Yeah,
they ain't making it.
Facts.
And that's a horse not getting tired.
Exactly.
So anyway,
Without the wheels being jammed to it to see it.
it just shows how the devil really manipulates people's mind to think that they can make it across, and to think that they were also going to still pursue the Israelites, to know that, hey, maybe we should turn around. Maybe this is not the best interest for us. The Israelites got away. Oh my, you bring up a very good point. Like,
right. That always used to trip me out, bro. Like, why did y'all feel confident to go in there with them? What? That don't make sense. But Pharaoh wasn't making sense. That's very obvious. In this entire from Exodus start, Pharaoh ain't make sense yet. From Exodus 1, Pharaoh ain't make sense yet.
Oh my. So that day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians laying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared God and put their trust in him and in Moses, his servant. Wow. And I think they found Egyptian artifacts at the bottom of the Red Sea. Like, just throwing it out there, just so people think like, oh, this is just like a fairy tale story. No, this is real life.
Yeah,
This is real life.
tragic ending for the Egyptians.
I just like how God is a God who does what he says he's going to do and says what he's going to do. Because now we're about to change gears after this story, because now we see this first part of Exodus was just Moses and getting introduced to Moses and the children of Israel and getting them out of Egypt, the Exodus, quote unquote. But now we see in this book of names also the Exodus. In this book of names, Moses asks God, who are you? Pharaoh asks, who is this God? And God just says, I am that I am. But in just being I am, I'm going to show to you my power. I am your redeemer. I am the God of your fathers, your forefathers. I am the one who's going to bring you out of the land of Egypt. I am your savior. I am the one who's going to give you refuge. Like, God is just saying, I am. And through his being, he brought the wonders that the children of Israel can see who he is. Let me reintroduce myself to you as God. You've been stuck in this land for 430 years. You may have forgotten who I am, but that doesn't change who I am. I am still your God. I still remember the promise I made to your forefathers. I still remember the covenant I made with Abraham. I am the one who doesn't forget. I am the one who is. I am the one who will ever be. I am. And it's just powerful for us to remember who God is. God is. God is the one who loves us. God is love. God is light. God is just protection. He is our refuge, our fortress, and our strength. God is all of this and more to us. Oh my, I just love it. And just a promise for us to remember that God can do above what we even think or ask. Like, the children of Israel had one vision in their head. Even Moses, we see, had one vision of how he was going to deliver the people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But he never expected it to be like this. He never expected him to be a humble shepherd going back and pretty much bargaining with Pharaoh, with God himself using signs and wonders. Moses first expected it to be him, but God said, no, this battle is mine. I am going to show Egypt that I am the God, the one and true and only God.
The Lord has led the Israelites out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Here we see the Lord asserting himself above all earthly forces in order to gain victory over the Egyptians and to keep his promises to his people.
The Israelites are now traveling back to the land of Canaan, the land that the Lord promised to Abraham. But on the way, let's just say some people got a little homesick. But we'll talk about God, the Israelites, and manna from heaven on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.